Welcome back, everybody, to the Dentistry with Sam's YouTube account. We finished 2 semesters of dental school so far, and I'm here with Matt, who goes to,
Detroit Mercy.
yep, and I go to East Carolina School of Dental Medicine. We have very different schools, and we like to check in with each other at the end of each semester. And we just finished our spring semester, so let's talk about it. The first thing I want to talk about because it's prevalent to the time of year because pre-dental students are applying to dental schools in May, or at least they're filling out their applications, and in a month they can submit their applications. So I have a couple questions for us about the application cycle as a whole. So the first question is, Matt, what do you wish you knew before applying? Is there any mistakes you made? Is there anything you wish you would do differently?
I think that looking back, one of the biggest things was researching the schools, and knowing their curriculum better, just because there's definitely some curriculums out there that probably wouldn't fit the way people learn, whether it's PBL learning, which is for certain schools, or just the way that our schools are handling our exams. Like our exam schedule is very differently. I had, I think, 8 or 7 final exams where you had how many did you have? I don't think you.
We don't have finals. We
Yeah,
just have
so
weekly
like
exams.
just
Yeah.
knowing the schedules, I think that would have been probably the biggest thing that I would have looked back on and been like, I probably would be interested in knowing this. What about you, Sam?
Yeah,
Is there anything?
it's, I mean, it's hard to ask those questions through the application cycle, especially if you don't have students that you know in the dental schools to ask kind of those directed questions. But I made so many mistakes in the application cycle. First, the letters of recommendation can really hold you back from submitting your application on time. And I wish I had someone telling me that in my ear beforehand because that's just a major deterrent because those letters of recommendation, if they're behind, then you can't submit your application and they're submitting it late. And I still submitted it in, I think, late June. It got verified. But that's definitely something I wish I knew ahead of time is have those either in a program where you can, it submits it on its own or something like that, because that can really delay your application. Another mistake I had is not preparing well enough for some of the dental schools that I was unfamiliar with, especially some online dental school interviews. I feel like some of them, and I was lucky enough to get a good number of interviews where I could afford for me to make a few mistakes. But I feel like 30 minutes before the interview, I was looking up like what makes this dental school special because after a certain amount of interviews, you get the basic questions down, you know your own story, you know your own application. Then it's really just like why you want to go to our specific school in general. And if it's an online interview and I applied to a school because their stats were like lower than my stats, you know what I mean? Like it was one of the safety schools and it was kind of hard to talk about, you know?
I mean, I personally didn't really have that issue. I feel like we are very different in the way that we would prepare. Like we did prepare together. Like for instance, I remember when you were interviewing at ECU, I called you and was literally just asking you a bunch of interview questions, saying and then you would ask me back. And I think that was one of the best ways that I could say that we prepared, both for our application. So I wouldn't say that I had problems with that because I mean, I don't know. I'm an over prepper when it comes to that stuff, but I can
Oh yeah.
definitely see how doing like something online and trying to hold yourself the same level of accountability as pretending they're right in front of you. It'll definitely there's definitely a change of my mindset for sure.
Yeah, and I'm pretty good at thinking off the cuff. So that I don't know if that helped me or not because I got a lot of wait lists, but
You
yeah,
got
it
into
was
schools.
interesting. Yeah. So some of the biggest application mistakes that you think pre-dental students make, obviously not applying on time, I think is the biggest
Yeah.
factor in you getting in. If you can have the first interview spot at a dental school, typically most of their acceptances happen in those first few interview spots. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I would definitely say that, but like also knowing if you're ready. Like, are you at the mindset where you're like, dang, I can take on this amount of schooling this upcoming year. I can be ready for those interviews. I don't have anything that's going to be able to kind of occupy my mindset at the time of applying because you're going to be juggling the DAT if you haven't taken it, interviews, hopefully if you get them, your social life, your family, taking out loans is probably something that some students think of beforehand, especially with all the new academia that's going on as far as that. So being in the right mindset of this is what I can do right now.
And once you go back, once you get into dental school, you can never go back. It
Nope,
is
nope,
just
you're in it.
4 years of grinding, and obviously we have only gone through 2 semesters, so we can't talk that much. But yeah, you can't go
We
back.
know what it
So
is.
take your trips. Don't stress about school beforehand.
Yeah,
Like you want to make sure you're in the right mindset to even start dental school. And I know a lot of pre-dentals are going to hear this and be like, I just want to get in. Like that's the least of my worries
yeah.
is, but
One of
yeah.
the biggest things, like speaking of traveling, is when I was interviewing, one of my old dentists was like, I was like, what do you think I should do in this time off? He goes, live your life. And like honestly, looking back, that's another thing that I definitely recommend. Like there's somebody else who I was talking to ended up getting into school. He was like, what do you recommend I do during this time? I said, do whatever you can do. Like go out of town, travel if you can, you know, like do anything to just not have any relevance with school. So now I think he's posting online that he's in, I think, Spain or whatever, and he's really, I didn't expect him to go this far, but he's living his life.
Yeah. Um, One of the things I did want to say that is a mistake that I looked over a couple people that were applying for the last two application cycles, and I saw a common trend of like telling readers of your application what you're doing instead of showing them what you did.
Yeah,
So, for example, the experience descriptions can make or break your application. What I mean by that is, let's say you were a dental assistant. That's a common thing. You can tell them, I sterilize instruments, I help the dentist do fillings and crowns, I had great patient interactions. Dental schools already know what a dental assistant does. Like that's part of their job description is sterilize instruments and help the dentist. It's your job to show them what you learned through your experience. And that's what that experience description I think is really there for, is to show them what you actually learned. Because anybody can sterilize instruments, anybody can help the dentist. It's what you take away from that dental schools really want you to learn.
yeah, and I think to add on to that, when you get an interview about that, I think one of the biggest things that I did, because I also assisted a little bit, is I told them like some meaningful stories that I had. Like some patient interactions like stand out a little bit more than others. Obviously, each case is individual, but like if there was a case where I was like, dang, like I definitely made an impact in this person's life, I was gonna make sure that I shared that at any interview, and I had that story ready. I had my facts straight and I was ready to explain to them why the specific interaction, I guess, either furthered me into wanting to pursue dentistry or was just something that, you know, just made a big impact in how I want to practice.
And another thing I'll say is that GPA and DAT only matter to a certain extent. You'll see a lot of stats online about the average admitted applicant, and they matter to a certain degree. I believe it's like it opens the door to your application. Having like at least a 3.5 GPA, I think is pretty good. Above a 20 on the old scoring system for the DAT is good. I think those open the door for the dental school to look at the rest of your application, and that's where you get your acceptance. It's not just stats. Like everybody focuses on, oh, I have a 3.9, but my DAT is a 19. Will I get in? You have a whole application that they judge it on. Like
Yeah.
letters of recommendation, we had similar style, I think, through
Yeah.
the committee letter because we went to the same college. Letters of recommendation is important. The time you submit your application, extracurriculars, what else? Am I forgetting anything?
I think,
Secondaries. Secondaries
yeah,
are important.
secondaries, but who you have read over it also. Because I know I had like some people want to read it. I wanted somebody else to look at mine and be like, is this good? But somebody that like you trust and whatnot. I think that's another big thing. Like, don't just be like, okay, I read over it 10 times. I don't see any mistakes. Here it is. Like, have somebody with a different perspective who's not in your shoes read over it as well.
How many schools did you apply to?
I think I applied to 16. I think I don't
I,
remember. I
yeah,
think it was
I
16.
applied. I applied to 19. So we both applied to double digit amount of schools. I would say for a student that wonders how many schools they should apply to, they should take a look at their whole application in general. Um, I also like I started at like 10 schools and I was like, what if I don't get into 10 schools? And then I went to 15 and I was like, what if I don't get into 15? So it just kept ballooning. But what do you think the right number a student should apply to? Obviously, finances
Yeah.
are a big thing in this because it costs thousands of dollars, but
I don't think that there's a right number. I will say that when I met with one of the professors who we both know at our school, I was like, how many schools do I apply to? And the thing that she said that really like I think every student should take away is the bigger net you cast, the more fish you can catch. And like that is honestly how I feel like dental school application cycle is. The more schools that you're going to apply to, the better shot you have to get into at least one of them. And yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a right number. I think that it depends who you are. Obviously, if you're only shooting for schools by you in the same state, I mean, that's how many you're going to apply to. If you only want to go West Coast or East Coast, that limits you a good amount. If you want to expand a little bit or you don't care, apply to as many as you can financially, but know that, something, even if you apply to all of those, there's still a chance that you don't get into any of them or you get into all of them. I don't think there's ever going to be a right number unless you have a 4.0 GPA and a 29 DAT. And
yeah,
even, I don't know what that is now, but even that, if you can't talk to the people in your interview,
yeah.
that you're not going to get in,
You're
I
just
don't
a
think there's a
walking
right number.
calculator, yeah.
You're just a walking genius, which
Yeah.
unfortunately,
But
like,
but you need some humility too. Like it's
yeah,
not just the stats.
unfortunately, dentistry is also talking to people,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a lot of the same with like college applications where you have some
Yeah,
safety schools, you have some target schools and some reach schools. So like Ivy League schools could be your reach schools. Those are many students' reach schools. Even if you have average stats, it's nice to just throw that in the bucket, see if see
yeah,
if you get a fish or something with that.
yeah,
Um, but I would say try your hardest to look at the numbers too of the schools you're applying to. If you're applying to NYU, USC, and you get into one of those schools, ask yourself, are you really prepared for the loan that you're about to take out? And if you
yeah.
didn't research it and you just get hit with it, that can be a scary feeling, you know?
It's a scary thought regardless, but those schools especially. Yeah.
Yeah, so really research the schools you want to apply to well because you don't want to apply to so many schools and the only school you get into is a school you haven't researched and you don't know much about and you're like, wow, I shouldn't have even applied because now I don't want to go here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I will say I don't think like there's some things that matter to other people. Like I know people who like don't want to go into like the cold. And that was honestly like I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely one of those people. Like I'm not I don't mind the cold. I don't mind like the hot, but like the extreme levels. But truly, as long as you get into school, you're gonna realize that you're gonna have the same life regardless. Like Sam's still gonna study a butt ton, and I'm still gonna study a lot as well.
Yeah, it's just the
I don't.
location that
It's just
differs.
the
You know what I
location,
mean?
and yeah,
Yeah.
like that does matter. But the priorities for me were not like the weather or stuff like
Yeah.
that. I would say finances. That was definitely one of the bigger things for me.
All right, next question. Best and worst part of the application cycle.
The best part was getting an email from a school.
Yeah.
Like when you wake up or you get an email from a school and it says you've been invited for an interview, I don't think there's any feeling that will be able to like replicate that. To be
Let
honest,
me
like
add
I
to that.
chased that.
That was honestly even better than honest. I mean, I can't say that. What better than acceptance say, but like the spontaneousness of getting an email when you don't expect it. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Like that was like, damn, that feels good. Like, and the
and you're
first
like,
one
you
hits
gotta
and then
book a
second,
flight.
third, and hopefully everybody gets multiple, but like yeah, that was like a
You're like,
dopamine
it's time to
rush.
book a flight. Like
Yeah.
there's just nothing like it. I wish I could chase that feeling again. To be honest, it was such a good feeling. It's like, dang, this school's actually interested in me.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not 100%, but like there's an interest at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And every pre-dental student who does social media or whatever, definitely record your acceptance reactions. That's always cool to look back on.
I did not
Um,
do that.
well, maybe
I
you
did not
should
do that.
next
I should
time
have. I
in
should have.
another life. In another life.
I'll redo it
Uh,
again sometime.
Speaking of dental students, you're gonna do it now. It's
Yeah,
okay, great.
I'm gonna start reapplying.
Speaking of dental students posting on social media, and I don't want to feel like the authority to be
No,
talking like this, but I'm just going to give some words of wisdom because I've been posting for a little bit and I've seen other creators post certain kind of things that I just like cringe at. Not even cringe, but it's just like you don't post. First of all,
disappoint.
it's honestly a little bit disappointing because we're all going to be healthcare professionals, so we have to act professional. So first thing, don't post about patients at all. Don't post that they have halitosis or they have necrotizing gingivitis and it's gross to you or something. You signed up for this. You don't want to ever talk down on a patient because nobody's going to want to come to you as a provider if you're talking about patients in such a negative light. You know what I'm saying?
You can also get kicked out of school for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was that
Like
medical
we
student
learned about
that,
that. You can get kicked out, and even though it's not illegal like HIPAA, like if you post a picture of a patient, obviously like there's legal trouble, but
yeah,
like there are cases where like students have gotten kicked out for saying, "Oh, this clinic was terrible today" or something.
yeah. So number one is don't talk about patients in a negative light. That should be obvious, but there's been certain, instances where that medical student, there's a PA that recently got fired from his job because he's a GI PA or something like that, and he says he doesn't like looking at feces or something like that, and he got fired. Um, So that's definitely one. The other one is to not talk bad about your school. Whether you like it or not, faculty, administrators, people affiliated with the school are gonna look at your TikToks or YouTube videos. They're just gonna find it somehow. You know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah,
just gonna pop up on their feed. And if you're talking bad about the school, that looks
there's
bad too,
consequences.
right?
Yeah, I said there's consequences to like your
Yeah.
actions.
So that's just a couple of things because there's specific videos I've seen where it's like even a dental student saying like I didn't get into my number one choice, but I'm still accepted into university of
Yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's just come on. You don't
But I
say
just
that.
think it's so disrespectful to not only the school, but like the other people who are applying. Just because you should be thankful regardless. Like, even if you get into the school, like, oh, I didn't know if I really wanted to go here, you still took a spot that somebody else could have taken. Like, you
Yeah.
should just be happy that you have the finances to apply. You're able to be in the shoes that you are because you're smart. You've taken a position that thousands of other people fought for. Like, just be appreciative. Like, it's a ride regardless, but just be thankful. Like
Yeah.
this is not everyone can do this, or not every like that just frustrates me.
Yeah. We both didn't get accepted into every single school,
Yeah,
but it's not like we're
like just
upset
happy to
at the
get
end of the day.
in.
Like
Just
it's
happy
just
to get
we're
in.
still going to be dentists. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That was the goal, not a specific school to be a
yeah.
dentist at. So, let's transition into our own personal journeys through our schools. Last time we talked, you were head and neck deep into SimLab, and I didn't even know how
Yeah.
to spell that. So, what have you done in SimLab so far? And I'll kind of explain me catching up to you.
So this semester we did a lot of anterior teeth, a couple posterior, but as far as anterior, we were working on class threes and class fours. We had both of those competencies this semester, which are anterior teeth. You guys can look it up what a class three prep looks like. Class four is basically also if a person comes in, they broke their front tooth,
Yeah,
that's a
if you
class
chip a
four.
tooth, that's
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what a class four looks like. But we did those. We also worked on pins for amalgam, so posterior teeth, the molars, putting pins in those. One of the craziest things that we did was an MODB amalgam, and that was unreal.
Yeah.
That was pretty tough, but that was probably one of the more crazier things. But putting a pin in, getting slot preps, that's what we worked on a lot this semester.
Mm. So, like I said, I had to catch up to you. So at the beginning of the semester, I didn't know anything. I didn't even pick up a handpiece, stuff like that. So this semester was a bunch of learning. I posted on TikTok like my first prep and the last prep I did before like our skills assessment or whatever. And there's a bunch of improvement and it's just practice makes perfect. You know what I mean? Like you spend the
Yeah.
hours, everybody sucks at the beginning. There might be one or two people that just are magical.
We have some naturals, man.
Yeah, that are just naturals, but more
Like,
than likely you are going to have to
yeah,
practice. And it's not it, you watch YouTube videos, you figure it out. There's a method to the madness.
yeah,
But most of it is practice, but we've done class one, class two preps in this semester. We did some amalgam. We ended this semester with more composite. So learning how to manipulate composite instead of amalgam. I can feel people going to bed by me talking about this,
yeah.
but another cool thing we did is cleaning teeth. So whether you like it or not, dentists also have to learn how to clean teeth because what if your hygienist calls out? Who's going to clean all the teeth? So we learned that semester we got to practice on each other, my classmates and I as patients, which is really fun. But that was a different skill. You think you're just picking up a scaler and you're just, going on the tooth like that, but there's a certain method to everything, working angles and whatever,
Yeah.
which was really interesting. So we both are pretty deep in the sim lab. I don't know what you have next. I have endo next.
I think we're doing perio next, so I think
Sure.
this whole summer session is going to be perio.
Did you have any frustrations in sim lab? Did you have any crash outs?
I, yeah, I for one of our competencies, our class four, it did not go well the first time. Second time went so much better. I wasn't. I don't even know what to say. It just did not come out the way that I wanted it to, and Reed did that and ended up passing. So thank goodness. And yeah, we
One
didn't up. Yeah, no, go
one of my
ahead.
biggest ongoing crash outs is the amount of instruments it takes to set up for anything. And
Yeah, that's fair.
it's hard to even describe, but there's just so many instruments that
I just
you
throw them on a
use
desk,
for
man. Just throw them
everything.
on a desk.
Yeah, like my desk looks like a mess, but that was my frustration. But anyways, let's go on to didactic. We still are in our didactics. We're learning
Yeah.
all this different anatomy and pathology and all these different things. What was your hardest class of the two semesters that we have in
Ooh,
dental school now?
ooh, 2 semesters anatomy, head and neck anatomy. The lab is fine. The lab we just had like a bunch of like 500 Ankis with just different parts of like the head and neck. So all of the nerves and that stuff. But so it wasn't a lab portion where like I can identify where the phrenic nerve is or the internal jugular foramen. But as soon as you try to ask me the pathway, I got lost a good amount
Yeah.
of the time. So the lecture portion of anatomy lab just I struggled with it a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. All the other ones, like the biomed classes, I don't know what did you do for biomed. I guess what did you struggle with the most?
Yeah, our schools are structured a little bit differently. But definitely our last test, which is a test where if you failed, you're out of dental school, was cardiology. I liked cardiology though. It like the pathways are cool. It's fun to learn. It's just a lot of material.
Yeah.
Um, but that was definitely my hardest. What was your study routine? Did you update it
Um,
at all, or are you the same?
Mine hasn't changed. It's still the same of like just going through. I will say there's times where depending on the professor that I'm not watching their videos as much just because I know how they're gonna test or I think I know how like what's more important on their slides. Um, but that's probably the only thing that might have changed. But it's still just rewatching the lectures, going through some Ankis, rereading the slides. I think those are just the biggest things that I've been doing and I don't know if it's foolproof for me yet. Like I'm not 100% sold on the way that I'm studying for it, but I mean, I passed the classes, so
Yeah. Yeah, I mine hasn't changed a lot. Anki, look at the lecture while doing Anki, have AI kind of explain it for me, and then I'll do like a cheat sheet for myself, a few days before the test to kind of finalize it. But I calculated a bunch of how many flashcards I did. I did about 800 Anki cards a week, which sounds crazy, but like we both know you get used to studying every day. Like that's just
yeah.
a thing is you get used to it. You have hard tests, you have easy tests. I will take back one thing I said. I think at the start of the year, it was a few weeks in. I think I was in the middle of head and neck anatomy. I made the statement that dental school is like taking the DAT every single week. And for me, at least, I have found that for the hard tests, I would say I'm studying harder for than I was for the DAT for sure. Like
Yeah.
for cardiology, putting 12-hour days like for a week straight was crazy. But there's also some weeks that are chill. So I would not say it's the DAT every single week. Would you rescind that statement as well?
I think there's definitely some weeks that you think are going to be a little bit easier. One thing that I did want to say on the last question is I have been having like practice tests made for me and just going through them. That's the only thing that I think I would add to that. But I wouldn't say it's the DAT every week, but definitely like knowing that you're gonna have another week of studying, like a whole nother week of just the same thing. I think that's where like the DAT mindset kicked in a little bit. It kicks in still for me, where it's like it's a lot, and here it is again.
Yeah, it's pretty daunting that it's never over. Even
Like
if we
it's
have a week off,
never over.
it's
It's a,
never over.
it's a repeating cycle.
A big thing that pre-dental students have to worry about with changes to the Big Beautiful Bill is taking out loans.
Ooh,
Loans are a big thing. We kind of got grandfathered in, luckily, to the old
yeah,
loan
old way.
system, I guess you could say. Yeah. And this is just me thinking off the cuff as I'm saying this right now, but shouldn't dental schools, in order for the next students to get grandfathered in, shouldn't the students take out their loans like before? I think the cutoff date is July. So I think sh dental schools should charge students before July. Like that's just my thought in my head for them to avoid getting the big beautiful bill. I don't know if that's even possible, if that's
I
even
don't think
legal at
I
all.
doubt it.
I think you have to be in school for that to
Yeah,
take an effect. But
I
that
think
was
you
just
do
in my
too.
mind as I'm talking about this. But how is the interest accruing for you? Are you thinking about loans at all while you're in school?
No, absolutely not. If I think that if you think about loans while you're in school, like you're just gonna drive yourself absolutely nuts because there's not gonna be a day while you're in school that's gonna go down. Like it's always gonna go up. So I'm not gonna lie, I haven't even looked at them until I think today, earlier today.
Yeah.
I decided let's see what we're at, and
Yeah.
I'm like, if you would have asked me like a year ago if I saw that, like, would I be freaking out? I'd say yes. But now
Yeah.
I have other problems. I know that like right now I'm on break. Like as soon as I go back, it's just gonna be
It's monopoly money.
it's monopoly money. It's like it's not in it's like it's not even real right now.
No, and people
No, I'm
make
just joking, by the way. I'm just joking.
no,
It's
yeah, yeah.
definitely real. Like,
I mean, people make a big deal out of it, and it is a big deal to take
but
out
what are
so
you
many
gonna? There's
loans.
nothing you can do about it. To be frank, like,
But it's the opportunity cost to get the degree, to learn the skills, to have the knowledge to be a provider where you can have a certain level of income post grad. Like it's not like we're
yeah,
getting this money and then gambling it away.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I wouldn't say that. No, I'm just joking.
but it's worth it to a degree. Is there any amount of tuition that could be where you would not want to go to the school? For example, NYU,
Yes.
USC is around 800K. Would you go to dental school?
Absolutely not. Personally, no. I don't think dental schools I didn't even apply to those schools, man. Like that's like when I said like finances, like I know like half a million, like yes, I like that's what I'm talking about. Like if you're spending I think what's the average dental school now? 130, 140 a year, something like that, roughly, I would guess. I would guess if you were gonna do the averages, which I'm sure Sam's now gonna go into a video and look up the average cost because I just gave him that
I
idea.
think living expenses included with interest accruing maybe 120. I would say 120 maybe a year.
I think it's probably closer to 130, but either way, somewhat similar. So let's say that it's 120. That's $480,000 for on average, roughly.
Yeah.
Now you're talking 800,000. That's almost double what you're talking. That's I guess it's close to double, roughly. We're gonna say it's around double. I know it's not exactly, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
still like
Yeah.
significantly more. That's a lot of money. Now, when you think about New York or California, there's so many other things like the housing cost is going to be more expensive there, so that's going to take up some time, or not some time, but some finances. But personally, I don't think I would go to a school that's $800,000, a million, 900, $1 million after 4 years. That just doesn't. I mean, you're paying for the education, but you're also going to be paying to like live there.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't. Would you, Sam? Would you pay $800,000 for to go to school? I think I would probably just reapply. I would probably just
I
reapply.
Yeah, I would reapply. And obviously it's hard to take into account
What's
for
going to happen?
yeah, for a 21, 22-year-old that's applying to dental school, however old you are, for them to understand what that money actually means in paying it back. Like it's hard for even us when we're
Yeah.
taking out loans to understand what our monthly cost is going to be. But, if you have that much in debt, you're going to have to do income-driven repayment because you can't keep up with the monthly cost if you have
No.
800K. You have to do income-driven
Or
repayment.
it's long term, very long
Yeah,
term.
or you have to stretch it out a bunch. So it's hard to even understand that. And it's a little bit predatory, I'm not going to lie,
Oh, yeah,
for these schools.
100%.
But
I couldn't do that.
pivoting a little bit on a less granular level than student loans is what loops do you have?
Q Optics 3.5 Ergo.
And this is where we differ. I don't have Ergo,
I
and I'm
love
not
it.
Q-optic. I'm Oroscoptic 3.5 Prism, which means nothing to anybody that aren't in
Yeah,
dentistry
don't
or
worry about it yet.
surgeons or whatever. Um, do you like your Ergo so
Dude,
far?
I love them. I love them.
To
I feel
explain,
like
ergonomics are when
when
you see a dentist going like this, but
and
they're
they're
actually
looking
looking
straight
down.
out. You look straight out versus yours are gonna kind of
Yeah,
look on an angle, and then straight is just your eyes follow your head movement.
yeah.
So
So
I
you're
get to
looking
look,
up, but you're really looking down
yeah, I get
because
to look
it's your
straight out.
ergonomics that you're focused on.
So it's just keeping your back, chest, head, neck just aligned, and I'm able to look right out, and it kind of tips the glass to where I can see, like, I guess for instance my keyboards if I was looking out. So
Was there a
it's
learning curve?
oh yeah. It's very weird when you're doing something and it's in reverse. So one of the things that when we went to ECU together is they gave us a maze and they gave us a mirror. Do you
Yeah,
remember that? And
yeah, I
that
do.
was honestly such an eye opener. They said write your name in reverse.
Yeah,
And
like
I would still
backwards. Yeah.
recommend doing that even as a pre-dental student just because it's going to make that transition so much better. So if you have like I know one guy in our class, I think he did Subway Surfers with the mirror
Hmm.
and like just do something where you can see him reverse because it's very weird. And once you start working on a tooth, there's no going back. So make it a little bit easier. I would say that's some advice I would probably give is use a mirror, do some Subway Surfers, or do a maze. Write your name backwards or using a mirror.
And ergonomic loops are so popular nowadays. Like I think
I love
they're
it.
a little taboo even a couple years ago. But the majority of my class at least has
Mine just too.
ergos, and it's just a common thing. And I got scared, I'm not gonna lie, that's why I didn't get them. I got scared of the learning curve on top of already a new situation of being in loops and hand skills. So I got a little nervous, but what they tell you is that if you learn it while you're learning everything else, you'll be more accustomed to using ergos rather than you're already a dentist, you already know one way. It's like teaching an old dog new tricks, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's easier to transition from ergonomics to normal
Straight if you
loops
want to. Yeah. If you want to
than
do
it
like a
is vice
complex
versa.
extraction with straight and you can't really use ergo to go like that.
Yeah,
Um,
just like that.
yeah, it's easier to do that. But all right, last question that I have is how much free time do you have
I would say
on
there's
a typical week?
on a
Because you're on
typical
break
week.
right now.
Oh man, I have so much free time this week. On a typical week, I would say that I'm obviously spending a lot of the time. I try to have a little bit of a wind down, so like a little bit of like phone time right before bed. But there's definitely some nights where like there was no sleep. Um, so
How
I
many
don't know how.
all-nighters did you pull?
Ooh, not as many as the first semester. Sleep is actually really important. So I'm trying to
How
think
many in total? You've gone through 2 semesters. How many in total?
intentional or unintentional,
Both, because they're the
both.
same thing.
No, they're not. Like sometimes I'll just lay in bed and be like, "Dang, I really want to get a couple hours, but can't." I don't know how many. How many? I would say definitely less than 10 for sure.
Okay, that's
But
still
like
really bad.
some of those were like unintentional. Like I just couldn't fall asleep, which is
Yeah, the
awful. But
nerves
like
and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, like there were many of those where it's like, dang, like I could have gotten so much sleep if I wasn't like as nervous or wasn't thinking about this stuff.
Yeah.
What about I
So
guess no all nighters for you? You were sleeping with eight
no, no,
hours every
I
night.
love sleep too much, and I would
Yeah,
rather study like more throughout the week than cram it all and have to
yeah,
pull an all-nighter. You probably did a lot during the week and pulled an all-nighter if I had to guess, but
probably. Yeah,
as far as the free time goes, like how much free time I have, I mean, it's hard to even explain because it depends on what
yeah.
test you have, what's
How
going on.
comfortable you are.
Yeah, the hand skills. Like if you're uncomfortable with doing hand skills, maybe you have to spend extra time in lab and then you have to spend extra time making up the time you could have spent studying for didactic. There's a bunch of that can play into effect. But like I said, it's definitely for me at least not taking the DAT every single week. Like some weeks it's hard, some weeks it's not, and that's just it. But that's all I have, I believe,
Ooh.
unless Matt, you have any final statements.
No, I just got an exam grade back, but that's
Okay.
yeah.
All
Did
right.
well on it.
Well, thank you
Thank
guys for
God.
watching. We will be back at the end of summer. I will be done with endo, GI, renal, digestive, whatever else. What will you be
Yeah.
done with?
I think so. This summer we have a mock board. We have farm. I think we're doing a lot of perio. So some perio, not didactic work, but some
You'll clean
perio.
some teeth. Yeah.
Hopefully, a lot of farm and digestive, I believe, and musculoskeletal systems.
All right.
Hopefully,
So you'll
yeah.
catch us after summer. We'll be a little bit more tan
No, we
and
will
we'll be
not.
done. Last thing I forgot. You are a D2. So everybody congratulate Matt for being a D2. He's done. I'm
I'm,
stuck at D1. We don't turn D2 until the end of summer. Uh, we
but for
still
the
end at
sake
the same.
of
What?
this podcast, he's a D2.
I'm a
So
D2.
we can
You heard it here.
congratulate him as
You
well.
heard it
Maybe the
here.
rest of his class isn't yet, but Sam is a D2 in my eyes.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Matt.
All right.